Hey y'all, Adam McFarland here from the Suno music team, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to take a look at some of the built-in effects inside of Studio 2.0. Now, these effects allow for you to uniquely dial in your own sound and make these songs truly your own. Maybe the coolest thing about effects in Studio 2.0 is that you can design your own plugins using the chat bar. That's not something you can do in most DAWs. All right, y'all, let's get active. But first, let's take a listen to a song that we were able to create inside of Suno Studio. I love how clean and spacious this is currently, but I do think that there's a lot to offer in terms of adding effects to this song. When you click Add Track Effects at the bottom of your screen, the built-in plugins are going to pop up here. Each plugin has a different way that it affects the frequency and sound of any individual track. We're going to go in deeper detail about what each of these plugins actually do in just a minute. Before we go any further, let's take a listen at the three main components of this song: the synth, the bass, and the drums. I'm gonna solo each one individually just so you can hear how they sound without any effects whatsoever. We call that dry. Let's hear our bass. All right, and next our drums. I'm gonna add a different effect to each line just so you can hear how individual effects affect different instruments. All right, let's start with compression. Now, compression is essentially an effect that helps to even out the volume of a particular sound. It quiets the loud parts and lifts the softer parts so that everything feels a bit more consistent in level. Let's add in some compression to our bass line. I'm gonna make it a little cleaner. All right. The next effect we're gonna focus on is equalization, more commonly known as EQ. You use EQ to adjust the balance of different frequencies within a sound. Those frequencies include the lows, the mids, the highs. You use it to make something brighter, to make something warmer, or to clean up muddy or harsh tones within a sound. All right, now let's EQ one of our tracks inside of this song. So currently I have the bass line soloed. Let's try and EQ our synth chords. Let's hear how they sound currently. Let's add in a track effect by clicking the Add Track Effects button at the bottom of our screen, and let's go to EQ. As it is currently, the EQ line is completely flat, but by offering the different nodes within the EQ effect, I can increase the high end or decrease the low end. I'm going to kind of play around with a couple of different changes just so you can see the effects that happen as a result of the different movements within the EQ effect. Let's add in some bottom again. Maybe let's take out some of the highs here just to hear how it sounds. So where we landed here, I think I took out some of the highs and kind of added a little bit in the middle here to make the sound a little bit almost muted. Next, let's talk about reverb and convolution. Reverb is an effect that adds a sense of space, like the sound is playing inside of a real room, inside of a concert hall, or inside of a church. Convolution is a special type of reverb, a type that uses an actual recording of space called an impulse response to make that sound more authentic and real. Let's add some reverb to our synth arpeggio. Take a listen to how it sounds by itself. Pretty cool sound, but let's hear how it sounds with some reverb. Here we go. Let's take it up. All right, let's go back to our piano line and add in a little more convolution here as well. Let's see how it sounds whenever we play it at the halls of the Pantheon. So much dissonance, and I almost argue too much. So I'm going to pull down or decay a little bit, increase the dampening, and let's hear it inside of a freight elevator. Here we go. All right. It's a pretty cool sound. Let's hear this inside of the mix. Here with our synths. They're kind of bouncing off of each other inside the track. Right, so we were able to add in some reverb and some convolution to our piano chords and our synth arpeggio line. Now, I want to also be very clear, like, these are the decisions that I made. Maybe you wouldn't make those decisions. Maybe you do something different. Completely fine. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just about our ability to tailor make and uniquely create what sounds like us. Next, let's talk about delay. Delay is an effect that repeats a sound after a short gap, creating an echo effect. You can set how fast the repeats come and how quickly they fade, from a subtle thickening to a rhythmic bouncing echo. Let's add some delay to our bass line. I already have some compressor and some reverb on this bass line, so I'm actually going to take those off just so we can hear what specifically delay does. I can add in an effect by clicking Add Effect and select Delay. Let's hear how the bass line sounds with just a little bit of delay added. Let's increase the time. Our time back down. And let's add a little bit of feedback. More rhythmic. I'm gonna go back to the top so you can hear with the feedback turned up, so it turns a little bit more rhythmic in its nature. I personally like to use delay on bass lines sometimes to almost act as a second form of percussion. Let's hear it in the mix. All right, not mad at that. Gonna leave it there. If I wanna make any changes, it's always there for me to alter more. Lastly, we're going to talk about distortion. Now, I like to say distortion is grit. It adds an edge to a sound. It pushes it beyond its clean limits. It makes audio feel a bit warmer or rougher or more aggressive. It can take something from a slight crunch to like a heavy fuzz or a roar. Oftentimes we use distortion on guitar or on vocals or on drums to give it more attitude, but we can also use it in a more subtle way just to give something a bit more presence on the mix. Let's add some distortion to our synth chords line. Now, previously we added some EQ changes. Let's hear where we landed there. Kind of warm. What if we wanted to change this a little bit and make it stand out a little bit more? I'm going to add in some distortion by pressing the plus sign here and clicking distortion. And let's hear how the distortion affects this synth chord line just in its default form. I already hear a little bit of difference there. Gritty. Started clipping a little bit there, so I can always change the mix by bringing the audio down slightly. All right, I took a little bit of that drive off, but I did kind of like how that drive made it a little bit more aggressive. So let's hear from the top where the tones are a little bit warmer. how this distortion affects that. Let's fold it in a little bit. So it got a little harsh there on the edges. That was when I folded it, but let's make it asymmetrical. Try one more time. Wow, that really changed the sound. All right, let's hear this inside the mix because I think it's gonna stand out a whole lot more. There's a solo with the distortion and solo without. See how much difference that is? Like a completely different instrument. That brings us to the end of this video about audio effects inside of Studio 2.0. Jump in the comments, let us know what audio effects you're looking forward to seeing next. But until next time, this is Adam signing off. Thank you all so much for joining.